Yeah, I've done. I'm currently part of a Roll20 campaign as well. 5th edition D&D, actual topical, thinking with the times. But yeah, that one's been quite funny. I've died once already.
Of course.
Yeah, because essentially I have this really cool character, Grinwald, and he's like styled like an Anglo-Saxon kind of warrior. But he's like a cleric who worships knowledge. So he's like supposed to be really good at knowledge. I've never rolled higher than 10 on any of my knowledge rolls. I have +5. It's supposed to be good. I've never rolled anything. We just walked into this like old elven architecture, and I'm like, I examined the stonework. Maybe I know about this. 1. I know nothing about this.
The stonework is just stone, as far as I can tell.
It might even be wood. I'm not sure. And the elf who was with us as well, she also knew nothing about the stonework. So that was great. So we were both staring at elven stonework for a good while. To the point where the DM brought in an NPC that was like studying elven architecture so he could explain what the fuck that was.
Just staring at this brick wall for like just so long that the DM's like, here is this person that actually knows what you're trying to figure out.
Yeah, it was really disastrous. But yeah, in that we had a Warlock with us who is an edgy teenager. In the quite possibly like the most hilarious way. He's got like a stepdad called Ron, and he's always like, he's not my real dad.
She's not my real dad, Ron.
Not my real dad. So every time Ron's mentioned, the rest of the party bursts out laughing, and he's just like, shut up, it's not funny. Because we all reckon he's like Ron is going to be a really nice guy, and that this guy's just chatting shit about him.
And he turns out to be like the big bad guy.
If that would be funny. But yeah, it seems like this edgy teenager just is rebellious all the time to whatever we tell him to do. So essentially we went into this big room where you've got a giant magic circle with a pile of treasure in it on the floor. And D&D terms, that is alarm bells, keep the fuck out.
Yeah.
So I was going up and I was sort of keeping a good distance. I was like 10 feet away and I was trying to study the symbols from a distance. See if I could figure out what it was. Of course, I rolled like a 5, so I had no fucking idea. But the thought was there. At which point, like, we're studying it. One of the like roguish types, the elf and the party member who was also a rogue who we'd rescued in like the worst interrogation section ever. But that's enough story for another day. She went around and they were both hiding behind a rock, like sensible people. The big warrior was sort of a bit ways behind me, behind another rock, like a sensible person. I felt like I was being risky standing in the open, but I was far away. I was studying the circle. At which point, little shit kid tries to jump into the circle. I managed to intercept and stop shit kid from jumping into the circle, but then something distracts me. Or like I'm getting in a conversation with one of the other party members. And at that point, he just takes his chance. Because I'm like, okay, I'll throw a rock. Because I hold him back. Yeah, that's what happens. I hold him back. And I'm like, don't jump in, that's stupid. And he's like, why not? Maybe it'll do something. I was like, exactly, that's why you don't step in it. So I picked up a rock, and I was like, okay, if he's going to step in it at some point, so I may as well to check. Threw a rock, it scattered across, and went, and I started pondering, like, maybe it's going to do something, and then he stepped in. While I was thinking about it, at which point this giant spider demon spawned. Out of like smoke and horror, and we had to fight it. Which one? Malleus, who is the shit kid, was like, whoops. We got in this big fight. I was trying to distract it away from the shit kid, by like bashing my shield and stuff. We got in this long fight that went on for a good while, and then at some point in the fight, I was knocked unconscious, obviously. By this thing, and then during the fight carried on after I went unconscious. I hadn't done any death saves yet. It fired like these spines at everyone in like an area behind it. And everybody passed like their saves to get out of the way.
Yeah.
But I was obviously unconscious, so I took a death saving throw. So at that point, it was like, okay, I've got to make another death saving throw. If I roll a 1, I'm dead. And Malleus was like, okay, I can come and help you. Or I could just attack it. And then the DM was saying, like, right, look, if you don't save him, he could just die. And then Malleus was like, nah, I'll attack it. So he attacked it, didn't kill it, and then I rolled my death save. 1! Bada bing, bada boom. Brynwood's fucking dead.
It was useless anyway. Couldn't even tell what kind of brick it was.
Couldn't even tell what kind of brick it was. But which point, all the party members went into all the party members besides Shit Kid went into a bit of a rage trying to kill this thing. Because they had respected my character over time. Because he'd been sort of he was like the moral section of the party, but he wasn't being a dick about it. He acknowledged that you had to go to certain means to do stuff.
Yeah.
So they in the end they picked up my shield because I had this ceremonial shield that I used to cast spells. And took my hand axe to honor me or whatever.
Yeah.
And then other people started going to investigate the treasure in the center of the circle, and they just started disappearing. At which point it was the warrior, the NPC who'd been running around with us, the roguish one, who she used to be one of the bandits who was in this chamber. But she said she had something against them. And it was then this warrior bugbear, Narag. He hates slavers. She was trafficking people to this thing. I was the moral high ground who was currently dead on the floor. So he just stabbed her in the chest.
Right in the titty.
Right in the titty. Instantly killing her. And then just picked me up and then walked with my body into the circle to see if he could find out what was going on. And at that point, everything got really trippy. We had to do these weird tests for the gods and stuff. My test, there was a paint by numbers picture of a castle. And a sheet that said which paint goes where. I picked up the paintbrush, tried to paint, rolled a 1, and fucked it up religiously. So at which point I was like, huh. So then I walked out the door, and then there was a choice of 3 magic items for me. So I was like, okay. So I got this magic mace. And then at the end we'd all regrouped, and they'd had tests as well. There was a line of rocks in size order that someone had, and he just the Shit Kid had, and he just took one and stole it.
Yeah.
There was a path bit where it said stay on the path that the warrior did, so he was just walking through that. Can't remember what the other characters were, the elf, but basically they were all tests, and I was the only one who got something out of it. And they were like, oh, you got rewarded for dying. And that's where the NPC who knew about that stuff came in, because we had no idea. And we ended up figuring out that it was only people who failed the test got rewarded, because it was you're supposed to break the rules type thing.
So it was built
I
for
only
the teenager to do.
Yeah.
Breaking the rules.
But the teenager failed at breaking the rules because he didn't reorganize the order of the rocks. All he did was take one from the end, so they were still in size order. He didn't completely mess up the display because he left it all neat. So all he got out of it was a pebble.
Yeah.
And I got a magic mace because I failed to paint.
A paint by numbers as well.
I failed catastrophically at a children's paint by numbers exercise, and I got rewarded with a magic mace whilst dead. Yeah, and I got resurrected for that. So obviously the gods saw some favor in me messing up a paint by numbers.
No, they just took pity on you for never rolling higher than 10 in your specialist thing.
Yeah. And then I was passive aggressive with the Shit Kid for the rest of the game because obviously he got me killed. And then the guy was like, it's not my fault. You should have fought better. And everyone else in the party was like, no, it is very much your fault. You were warned.
You see, I was when you said there was a big ring in the middle and there's just pile of gold in it, I half expected you to say anyone that passes that threshold just turns into some gold and just falls in a pile.
Yeah, these were the kind of things I was scared of. So that's why I was like, don't step in it, you idiot. But no, the gold, still not sure why the gold was there. There must have been some purpose to it, but we didn't look too much into it because we were just happy. Well, I was happy that I wasn't dead anymore. But yeah. So I was also the one that woke up because everyone else appeared in the tavern. Well, no, everyone else appeared. Where did everyone else appear? No, everyone else was in there longer than me. Because I think when I died, I'd started the test. It was like chronologically. So once everyone else had walked in, I woke up with my body outside, the circle again, next to the dead rogue. I was the only one who knew anything about that. And then I took her back to this other room where there were some prisoners that we knew was a secure place, and I held up there, thinking, oh, they'll come back and look for us. And then they all appeared, and they were following this trail of blood. Found the room, knocked on it. I opened the door. They were like, "You're alive?" And I was like, "Yeah, I was dead." And they were like, "What happened to I forgot her name now. That feels bad, but the rogue."
It's only an NPC.
Yeah, and they were like, I was like, I don't know. I woke up and she was dead. And they were like, "What kind of injury does she have?" Because the elf was suddenly suspicious because everyone else had gone through except for the warrior. The warrior was like, I don't know. I was like it when I found it. The only one who actually succeeded on insight against the warrior was the shit kid who didn't say anything. And then we both got in and we did medicine checks on the wound and we couldn't determine what caused it. So he got away with murder and I got away with dying. So not too bad for a first couple of sessions.